I want to start off by giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone for teaching us this truth. And I want to say shalom to the brothers and sisters that are in this truth. Shalom.
Shalom.
All right, back with another lesson. And this one is titled, Two Sides to the Coin. Which side are you on? Right? Because this truth holds two sides. Right? This truth shall be either a snare, right, for the 2/3 and the wicked, which you 2/3 are the wicked also, okay? And this truth will set free the elect, ultimately guiding them to salvation, right? Because if you're set free, that means you set free from that snare, right? And that snare was those other philosophies and those the lies that we've been fed, right? Ever since we fell away from our power, okay? But you people, you 2/3 are still caught up in that net, that snare, right? That snare of lies, right? That snare of wickedness, okay? So there's two sides of the coin. And you got to ask yourself, on what side am I on, all right? So we're going to start off with the book of Psalms, right? Chapter 69 and start at 22.
There's the book of Psalms, chapter 69 and verse 22. Let their table become a snare before them.
Let their table become a snare before them. And what happens when you're on a table? You're sitting down, right, to eat, okay? And who is Hamashiach Yahushai? That bread of life, okay? So if you don't have the correct doctrine, you don't have this word, right? You don't have that bread of life. See, your table becomes a snare for you, right? Because your bread is defiled, okay? And I'm not talking about no physical bread you buy in the market basket. I'm talking about that bread of life, the word. It's been defiled with lies, right? So you're caught up in a snare.
And that which should have been for their welfare, let it become a trap.
See, so you think you got the truth. You people think that everything you're learning in those churches, right? Or in the streets, or Esau teaching you these different philosophies, right? Even ultimately making you not believe in the word, okay? This is all a trap. That's all a snare, right? Everything that you think is going to be good for you, right, is defiled. It's become a trap, right? In the long run, it's going to become your death, all right?
Let their eyes be darkened.
Let their eyes be darkened, right? As the book of Romans chapter 11 verse 7 says, right? Only the elect has found what they seeketh, and the rest were blinded, right? Your eyes are darkened with what? With lies, okay? Because Hamashiach Yahushua said, I am the true light. So without him, your eyes are darkened.
That they see not, and make their loins continually to shake.
You see, and make their loins continually to shake, you see? Because only this word can make you become a man, anticipating the bad things that are coming, the tribulations, right? That's the only thing, this is the only thing that's going to stabilize you on those days, right? So when you don't have this word, you're not going to know what's going on. You're not going to know where to go or how to seek shelter, right? Because the Lord is a strong tower, right? For the righteous. And if you don't have that strong tower, you're going to be confused, right? You're going to be, in those days, you're going to be very scared, right? In darkness. All right? So now, let's go to the book of Amos, chapter 3, and let's go to verse 5.
This is the book of Amos, chapter 3 and verse 5. Can a bird fall in a snare upon the earth, where no jinn is for him?
You see, can a bird fall upon a snare, right? Salakia, can a bird fall in a snare upon the earth where no jinn is for him? And jinn goes to lure, bait, right? It means a snare, okay? All right? Jinn is a bait, right? So this net might have a worm on it, okay? Might have a dead mouse or something where the bird goes grab it, but guess what? It's a snare, okay? And that's what they did. They fed you lies, right? And you guys ate that bread instead of eating the bread of life, which is Hamashiach Yahushai. And you guys were caught up in that snare.
Shall one take up a snare from the earth, and have taken nothing at all.
You see, so that snare is not going to be there in vain. All right? Somebody's going to fall for it, right? And once they pull once they pull that snare up, right? You're going to be there. Okay? It's not laid there in vain. You see? So once you take that snare, it's it for you. Right? Once you caught up in that snare, Salakia, once you take that jinn, that bait, that's it for you. All right? So you got to make sure, right? Because you got enough time to still check yourself, right? Check your spirit, right? Do some research, right? And ultimately find the truth. But hey, if it ain't for you, it ain't for you. The snare's been set up since the beginning, right? So let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 8, and let's go to start at 14.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 8, and verse 14. And he shall be for a sanctuary, but for a stone of stumbling, and for a rock of offense to both the houses of Israel.
You see? So he shall be a sanctuary, and that's for the 1/3. But for a stone of stumbling and for a rock of offense to both the house of Israel. Why? Because Hamashiach Yahushua is that chief cornerstone that you're supposed to build on, right? But if you don't build on that stone is going to be a stumbling block for you, right? Why? Because he said, blessed are those that are not offended in me, right? But if you take offense, right? So he's going to be a stumbling block, okay?
For a jinn and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem.
You see, for a jinn, you see? That's that bait. That's that law. You see? So it's going to be for you so-called blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans that did not listen. In 2/3, man, it's going to be a stumbling block for y'all, right? Because these dark sayings weren't given to you. Okay? You don't understand what's going on. The only thing you understand is love. The only thing you understand is, I don't believe in that. The only thing you understand is the white man wrote that book, right? You understand lies, but you don't understand the truth. Why? Because the Lord, since you rejected the Lord, Salakia, since you rejected the Lord has rejected you and become a snare, okay? He ain't open your eyes to the dark sayings, to these parables, right? So now, since you can't get it, you just don't believe. You see? Go ahead.
And many among them shall stumble.
And many among them shall stumble. That's 2/3, right? We're the biggest nation of the earth. And 2/3 of our people, that's a lot of people stumbling. That's a lot, right?
And fall.
And fall, right? And what happens when you fall? That word fall goes into ultimately when you die, man, right? Because when you fall and you don't get back up, it's over. What happens to a righteous man? He falls and keeps getting back up, right? Roughly paraphrasing, right? But what happens to a fallen soldier? What do they say about a fallen soldier? That means he died, right?
And be broken, and be snared, and be taken.
You see, and be broken, and be snared, and be taken.
Bind up the testimony.
Bind up the testimony. When you bind something up, you put it together, right? When something's broken, that thing's in pieces. But when you bind something up, right, you putting it together.
Seal the law among my disciples.
Seal the law among my disciples, right? That's that true light. That's that vision, right? So when that snare's in front of you, you sidestep it. Nah, I ain't going that way. You see, because I can see. I can see what's going on, right? I'm not following the blind to fall into that ditch, into that snare, right? So I sidestep that, right? Why? Because that testimony, right? That law has been sealed. And Lord willing, I'm one of them also. See? Because I'm sitting at the low table, humbly waiting to be called up, right? Lord willing, right? So bind up the testimony, seal the law among my disciples, okay? And that's the elect, okay? Because you 2/3, right, have tripped over the rock, right? The rock of our foundation, that chief cornerstone. You tripped over him, right? Why? Because you tried kicking it away. You rejected it. You tried kicking it, but that rock was too heavy for you to kick. And you ended up stumbling. You ended up falling. You see? Now, how do you feel when the end is almost near, right? And you have no protection, right? The angels ain't encamping around you, right? Because you rejected his word. You didn't fear the Lord, right? And you find out that your little $1,000 cabinet of pasta and ramen noodles and dry beans and stuff can't save you from the famine. When you find out that your $1 million or $2 million can't save you from what's coming, right? That your AR-15s and your grenades and whatnot can't save you from what's coming. Now what? You see, the God of this world has blinded you and has become a snare to you, right? In the valley of the shadow of death, you have rejected the word. You have rejected this light, and it has rejected you also, right? So now you're just a dead man walking, blind, right? With a bunch of monsters in every corner waiting for you, ready to set traps and snares, right? But the disciples, right? The Lord is binding up, right? And sealing the law amongst them. So we're going to go now to the book of John, right? Let's go to the book of John, chapter 8, and let's go to verse 31.
This is the book of John, chapter 8 and verse 31. Then said Yahushua to those Jews which believed on him.
See, then said Yahushua to those Jews, okay, not everybody, okay? So now we're gonna tell you who his disciples are, because this don't include no other nation. Okay, he said those Jews, right? Go ahead.
If ye continue in my word, then are ye my disciples indeed.
You see? And if ye continue in my word, then are ye my disciples indeed. Okay? So as the book of Isaiah chapter 8 and 16 said, right? He's binding up the testimony, right? And sealing the law for his disciples, right? Because the law was only given to the 12 tribes of Israel, Salakia, the 12 tribes of Israel, right? You see, but many of you have rejected it. And like I said, this word has become a stumbling block. There's two sides of the coin. You got to ask yourself, on which side are you on? Go ahead.
And they shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
See, and the truth shall make you free. Why? Because we were all caught up in that snare. You see? We were all caught up in that snare. But that word came to us, right? And we received it, right? We received that truth. And it freed us from that snare. Why? Because the word is a two-edged sword. And we use that sword to cut that snare and free ourselves. You see? We use that weapon that the Lord gave us, which is the word, right? This sword that he gave us, right? And we used it to get out of that snare, right? That snare couldn't hold us anymore. Why? Because of the two-edged sword, right? That word that we accepted, we received, and we understood. You understand? That's why this word is very important. Okay? So, let's move on to the book of Psalms, chapter 147, and let's start at 2.
There's the book of Psalms, chapter 147 and verse 2. The Lord doth build up Jerusalem.
The Lord does build up Jerusalem. Why? Because he is that chief cornerstone. Without that chief cornerstone, you can't build, right? That's the foundation of the whole place, the whole house.
He gathereth together the outcasts of Israel.
He gathered together the outcasts of Israel, right? The dispersion, right? The ones that got scattered through the four corners of the earth, right? The Lord is going to gather them together, right? And bind them up with this testimony, as it said in Isaiah, right? Go ahead.
He healeth the broken in heart, and bindeth up their wounds.
You see? And he bindeth up their wounds, you see? He's binding everything up with this testimony, right? Sealing that law for his disciples, the one that received this word, right? And stuck with the truth. No matter what obstacle came, no matter what they lost, right? They stuck with this truth, right? And they didn't abandon ship, you see? But the rest will stay broken in pieces. They will stay shattered. Why? Because they have rejected knowledge. What does it say? My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Right? Something that is destroyed is not put together, is not binded together, it's broken to pieces. Okay, but the Lord is coming back to heal our wounds. Why? For keeping his word. Right? So let's get Ecclesiasticus, which is also known the book of Sirach. Let's go to chapter 27 and let's go to verse 9.
There's a book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 27 and verse 9. The birds will resort unto their like, so will truth return unto them that practice in her.
You see? So will truth return unto them that practice in her. See, and who's her? That wisdom. You see? Those that seek that wisdom, that truth from the Lord. It will come back. Why? Because it's always been given to us. Okay? This was predestined from the beginning, right? But we lost our ways. And now we have remembered, right? Why? Because it was given to us by the Lord. It was given to us from the beginning. Okay? This was predestined. It's not a coincidence that once you heard this word, it was like a light switch turning on. Boom. Now you remember everything. Why? Because the truth has returned. Okay? So, let's close it up with the book of Psalms. Let's go to chapter 78 and let's start at 1.
There's the book of Psalms, chapter 78 and verse 1. Give ear, O my people, to my law.
Give ear, O my people, to my law.
Incline your ears to the words of my mouth.
Go ahead.
I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old.
I will open my mouth in a parable. You see? This is like a poet speaking. Okay? Unless you understand these dark sayings, you're going to be lost.
Which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us.
Which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us.
We will not hide them from their children, showing to the generation to come the praises of the Lord, and his strength, and his wonderful works that he hath done. For he established a testimony in Jacob, and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers, that they should make them known to their children.
You see, so that they should make them known to their children, right? And this is how we're remembering, because we've been taught this for generations, okay? And now we're coming back to remembrance.
That the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children, that they might set their hope in Yahweh, and not forget the works of Yahweh, but keep his commandments.
There you go. There you go. Contrary to everything we have been taught in this filthy place, we are coming back to remembrance, right? To the days of old, remembering to keep the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of our abilities in this defiled place, right? Eating that that bread of life, right? So that table doesn't become a snare, right? Receiving that true light, right? So we never go blind again, right? So our eyes don't get darkened, right? So we can sidestep from that snare, right? And not fall into that ditch or be taken away in that net, right? By these devils, right? That's their sole purpose, is to keep us away from our power, right? And that's why they keep setting all these snares, right? But like I said, we got that word, that two-edged sword that made us free, and we have cut ourselves from them snares, man. Them snares that had us bugged out in Christian churches, them Catholic churches, whether you were trying to be a Muslim, whether you were one of them 5%ers out there, right? Them conscious people, or an atheist, right? All them things were snares. We have come back to the truth, and it made us free, right? So ask yourself, what side of the coin you on? Because there's two sides, right? There's either the left-hand side, which is a snare, or the right, which is the righteous side, which will set you free. You best ask yourself before the time is up. All right? And Lord willing, that was edifying. And with that, we're going to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rekakwadash. I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone for teaching us this truth. And I want to say shalom to the brothers and sisters that are in this truth. Shalom.
Shalom.
DTA.
DTA.
Abab.
Abab.
Kum Yasharala.
Yashua.